มา
So I know in 2009 you said it was very important to reach back and help others. And I was just wondering what other ways can we be helping younger students?
Well, this is a good question because I think young people, when they think about change, you get hung up on thinking that the only change that matters is something big and huge and powerful and mighty, starting your own organization or moving the needle on an initiative. But when you're young, the best thing you can do is, number one, take care of you. Because you are the best asset you can invest in at this time. So that means taking care of your space, your health, your education, protecting your heart is an important investment for the bigger picture. And then think about who's around you. Who can you really influence? And everyone can influence someone. Maybe it's a younger sibling, maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe it's another girl in a class below you. Because when you think about it, younger kids, they don't necessarily look up to the teacher. They look up to the girl right just above them, Younger girls love teenagers. You are fascinating to young girls. Just the way you carry yourselves. You're just a mystery to them. So when you're a teenager, kids who are in lower levels, you have power over how they see themselves in a way that even I don't, because you have access to them on a regular basis. So I would urge you to think about who do you have access to right now, today, that is looking to you for guidance. They see you as a role model, because I guarantee you there is someone in your life right now who thinks that the sun rises and sets on every word you say. And I would start talking to them, and I would do small things like bring them with me when I did something unique, taking them to a museum. It's those small gestures that matter. It's not the grand sweeping actions that make change. Change happens every single day with the little interactions that you have with the people in your life. And you can also have an impact on the men in your life. Because oftentimes there are fathers or grandfathers or brothers who aren't quite sure that investing in a girl's education is worth it, and some mothers think that as well. Well, you're a living example in your communities of the power of an education. And so vocalize that. Vocalize within your communities what this means to you. Articulate your passion to them. Try to change some hearts and minds so that the next little girls coming up in your communities don't run into the same kind of barriers and the resistance that maybe you experienced, because you're coming back as a success. A parent can see from just what these three young ladies are doing that the investment that you all made in your education is coming back in multiple ways. I say this now, what I can do for my family because I have an education, how I can take care of my mother doesn't have to want for anything because she placed that investment in me at a young age. And some parents who don't have that experience and are afraid of sending their girls out there aren't thinking further down the road. So you can be the example that some of the elders need to see so that they view education differently for their daughters.
Well, on that note of then actions and what we can do to, empower these women and boys and young men and young women around us, I think it's fair to say, especially from the visit in Marbury in 2015, women's ambitions and the ambitions of our students and our girls and our community is so high. People are very, very ambitious. But the issue is the lack of opportunities and the lack of access to a lot of resources. And this is what you said as well. You even said in 2015 during the speech that we're just working class kids from a good community with limited resources. How do you think we can actually tackle this issue? And what can you say to the young women out there to encourage them to overcome these issues and these barriers as well?
Yeah, well, one builds on the other. Without education, you don't have the resources, the skills, the knowledge, the know-how to know how to advocate in your community for change. So, it's sort of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's hard to say. It all has to happen at the same time. Because when you succeed and you rise up and you get your education, you can then go back and bring others along with you. But if you're not trained, if you're not exposed, if you don't invest now in that, then you don't even have a vision for change. You don't even understand what the issues are that are keeping your community oppressed. What are those economic factors? What are the levers that you need to push? How much is politics involved in some of those decisions? And so your job is to go out. It's sort of like go to the mountaintop and find the truth, see it for yourself, and bring the message down to others. It isn't simple. It is complicated, and change takes a long time. And I think that's also something that is a bit of a disappointment when young people get out there and they start doing the work and they realize how complicated it is to actually make systemic change. But you have to remember, you may be planting the seeds of change that won't be felt until your grandchildren are here. But that doesn't mean that you don't do the work now. You have to build one by one. But it starts with every girl in this school investing in their preparation so that they have the knowledge and the skill set to tackle some of these issues.
When we came to Washington, we met some of the White House mentees. And I just think with these young women here are just some fantastic examples of what can be achieved, and wonder what advice you would have them to give if they could become mentors to other people. Rather than just in being an example, how do you become a mentor? What was it you felt that was so important in a mentoring program?
Well, I mentor because I was mentored. I think Marian Wright Edelman, one of my heroines, said, service is the rent we pay for living. And I feel the same thing. I feel like when someone invests in me, as many people have, what I write about in my book is that I didn't get here on my own. I didn't get here because I was some miracle kid that had dust sprinkled on me and things just happened. There were people in my life who saw potential in me, people who didn't have to make the investment, who held a hand out and showed me the way. And some of them were much older than me. Some of them were people who were my peers or people just ahead of me. So I am a product of the generosity of other people's mentorship. So the expectation of myself is that I give that back. And it's also selfish of me that I mentor, because I get a lot out of it too. I mean, one of the best things I do is spend time with younger people because they keep me focused. As I said at the top of this conversation, you all keep me clear and focused. I feel fulfilled in helping you achieve your goals. It's the most fulfilling thing that I do, is to watch another person benefit from something that I help them do. I'm not here to compete with people. I'm here to continue to lift people up. So I think my hope is that the support that I've shown you and others have shown you, you will find it in you to show that to someone else. And one of the reasons I started the mentorship program in the White House was because I wanted people to know that everyone has the time and the capability, even the First Lady and the President of the United States, because the President had a separate mentorship program too. And we connected our mentees with senior people throughout the White House, from the Chief of Staff to the head of the household to Secret Service agents. They were connected with people on a regular basis. So if we can do it, if we could find the time in our busy lives to take a moment out, because it doesn't even take that long. You can have an impact on another person with one good conversation. You know, I never underestimate the value, I write this in the book, of showing children my regard, which is why I take time out when I see kids, because I think even if I'm with you in a photo line or on a rope line, that maybe there's one thing I can say to you, that you're beautiful, that you're smart, that I see you, you know, that I believe in you. Yeah, I don't know you, but sometimes a kid just needs to hear that. And that doesn't have to come from the First Lady. It's powerful when it does come from the First Lady, but coming from you, coming from all of you to someone who looks up to you, it means the same thing. So my expectation for all of you is that you find a way to mentor. And maybe now is not the time, but at some point in your life, when you get to a place where you have the space, my hope is that you make that time. And that you continue to look for the mentors in your life, because I still look for mentors, even today. Anybody who knows more than me, I'm going to sit them down and they're going to become my friend. And I'm going to ask for help. I did it when I came into the White House. The first people I sat down with were other living First Ladies. I made it a point to meet with every single one of them. Number one, to just thank them for their service. Number two, I wanted to make sure they felt the lines of communication were open with me. Third, I wanted to know what it was like for them. What were their challenges and what were their struggles? And I made sure that my staff stayed connected to Laura Bush's staff so that they could pick up the phone and call and learn. So you never stop learning, and I never stop learning. So if I'm still looking for mentorship, you all should be doing that at every phase of your life. Whether it's another mother, when you become a parent, you're gonna need other parents to help you mentor. If you're in a relationship, you're gonna want mentorship to help you get through your relationship. It never stops.